One of these tiny action cameras actually started my filmmaking journey. I've been shooting my first travel videos on these. I had the first one with an actual built-in screen so you could see what you're shooting. It had 60p in full HD, super cool back then to shoot slow motion, and you bet I used it in all of my videos, really all of them. 10 years later, there has been some significant technological progress, and those tiny action cameras have evolved into powerful tools for filmmaking. DJI has made some serious progress in the past years, and especially with the Osmo Action 5 Pro stepped it up last year, which brings me to the question, who is the new king of action cameras? Is the Osmo Action 5 Pro really performing better at a lower price point? Let's find out. The Osmo has an updated sensor size with a 1 in 1.3 inch sensor, while the GoPro has only a 1 in 1.9 inch sensor. We took both to a Porsche night shoot and we were super impressed by the low light capabilities of the Osmo. You can clearly see that the GoPro has more noise at night, and the dynamic range of the Osmo Action 5 Pro due to its bigger sensor is really noticeable. Setup and modes on both cameras are pretty similar. You can notice that the Osmo Action 5 Pro screen is a little bit bigger, and when both are set to full brightness, the Osmo Action 5 Pro screen is also a little bit brighter. Also on the second screen on the front of your camera, both screens are fairly similar. The color recovery mode of the Osmo Action 5 Pro comes in super handy here. You see yourself on the GoPro pretty washed out in the log format. You got the grid also on the front screen, which is not available on the GoPro, and you got some more details like the white balance, your exposure meters. To have access to all the manual settings, you activate the Pro control on the GoPro and the Pro mode on the Osmo Action 5 Pro. This way you can set up your right shutter, the ISO, and your color profiles. On the Osmo Action 5 Pro, what's super cool is that you got the color recovery mode, so you can actually see colors and contrast of your shot while you're filming. The GoPro can shoot up to 5.3K and 60p, and the Osmo can shoot up to 4K 120p. I recommend you on both cameras to set the bit rates on high and go down with the in-camera sharpening and denoising to have a more natural feel. The focal range modes are pretty similar. On the GoPro, the hyper view mode is a little bit wider than the ultra wide mode of the Osmo Action 5 Pro. But to avoid this action camera feel with the fisheye look, I'm mostly shooting in the narrowest setting possible. That's linear on the GoPro and standard D-warp on the Osmo Action 5 Pro. Stabilization absolutely impressed me on both. I couldn't tell that one is better than the other. I've been just running around with the action stick, shooting all handheld, was super stable on both cameras. Nice little features that on the Osmo Action 5 Pro, you got now 47 gigabytes of internal storage. So for the case that you forget your SD or you got a full SD, really nice safety feature here on the Action 5 Pro. You can connect a wireless mic on both of these cameras. In this case, I have the DJI Mic 2, and the connection works wirelessly pretty easily. The whole sound in this video is recorded with the DJI Mic 2 connected to the Osmo Action 5 Pro. On the DJI Adventure combo, you get this action cam stick, which comes in super handy if you want to film yourself, if you want to keep some distance for safety, for instance for these BMX shots. On the GoPro, you get this little floating stick, which is cool for snorkeling or diving. Then you got some mounts, but it's fairly basic. Also in the Osmo Action 5 Pro Adventurer combo, you got 3 batteries with the battery pack included. You can charge the whole case. You don't have to charge battery by battery in the cam itself like on the GoPro, and in the GoPro accessory bundles you got only 2 batteries. I tested out the battery of both cameras. The GoPro was not set to screensaver, finished recording at around 1 hour 19. The Osmo went all the way through to 175 minutes, so almost 3 hours recording non-stop in 4K. That's super impressive here. I found that mounting the ND filters on the Osmo Action 5 Pro is fairly easy. You don't have to demount anything. You just pop on the ND filters. On the GoPro, you have to unmount and remount the ND filters, so a little bit more work on there to change ND filters. I'm always using ND filters on all my cameras, also on action cameras, to be able to shoot on the right right shutter speeds for that cinematic motion blur we all love. So guys, in conclusion, it's really fascinating what these tiny action cameras can do nowadays. They both provide really good value for the money. There come little advantages with the Osmo Action 5 Pro, like the sensor in low light, the screen which is a little bit bigger and brighter, the color recovery, the 47 gigabytes of internal storage is a really nice add-on here. The battery life is better on the Osmo, and you have more accessories included, like 3 batteries compared to 2, the battery charging pack and the action stick. On my test, the image on the GoPro is a little bit warmer, and on the Action 5 Pro a little bit cooler. For my taste, the GoPro footage is a little bit more stylized with a warmer look, and the Action 5 Pro is a little bit more authentic. On side-by-side skin color shots, I feel like there's more depth at the Action 5 Pro. The skin color on the GoPro feels a little bit more flat. But yeah, there's really not a big difference. Both are really performing well, so it comes down to personal preference. Even though this is sponsored by DJI, I can tell you honestly after my test that if I had to buy an action camera today, I would go for the Osmo. Just an overall better value for the money in my opinion. I hope you enjoyed this little camera battle. I had a lot of fun shooting this. That's it for this review. See you in the next one. Peace.